One thing I wanted to do this summer was kind of revisit old The Villa View content. I know people still hold a lot of fondness for the old format and how it used to be, so I thought it would be fun over the summer to go back and revisit some old content. When we used to do the old podcast, I think Tom and I were a little bit ahead of the curve, ahead of our time, so we started doing that in like 2017. We're doing the weekly podcast before podcast became a massive thing, and we also tried to do a couple of player interviews around that time as well, and Tom and I were fortunate enough in 2020 to go and speak to Stiliyan Petrov at Villa Park and go through his Villa career and obviously all the trials and tribulations and heartache and all the tough stuff he's gone through in his life as well. And it was a fascinating hour and a half, and I think maybe the audience has changed since then and people wouldn't have seen that content. And I was listening to a podcast the other day with an old Villa player, and it just reminded me of this content and, you know, how fascinating it was to speak to Stiliyan, who's a personal hero of mine, and the same for Tom as well. So thought we'd kind of bump this old content and get people to have fresh eyes on it. Maybe people who watched it before will watch it again as well and find it enjoyable and take something away from it. So enough of me rambling. Here's the Villa View podcast with myself, Dan Bardell, Tom Julian, and of course the main man, former captain of Aston Villa Football Club, Stiliyan Petrov.
12 games before end of the season, we were 11 points ahead of Arsenal.
I remember.
This is the season that we nearly had it. We end up 7 behind them. When Gabby went through, we thought it was a red card. We felt like we were robbed, but that's the way football is.
The new season's about to embark, and Martin O'Neill leaves.
No, nobody knew about it.
Nobody?
No, it just came out of the press. Yeah. I tried to call, he didn't answer, I remember, and then he called back a couple of months after. Wow. Yeah, and we didn't know. Every time we have a game, you keep saying in front of everyone, you're having a rest. It's not my place to pick the team, but I don't like when people are not truthful. My brain wanted to do stuff, my body didn't react it. I remember making the mistake for the first goal as well. You know, on a Tuesday when we had the heart checkups and the blood, I had the devastating news. So for me, from one extreme to completely different. Or you have to be strong mentally. It's more than, it's beyond that. Chemotherapy, hooked in. Not allowed to go out. You get tired and you've got still half a back to go. Before you sign off your treatment or your chemotherapy, you read through the side effects. Coma, death. You know, are you going to sign that? You don't have a choice.
Stiliyan, thanks ever so much for joining us for this really special podcast. We really appreciate your time.
What a pull Villa Park was and what a club it is. But you came from a huge institution in Celtic. How did that kind of process unfold itself? How did you kind of find out Villa were interested, and what were your thoughts going through your head?
Well, I remember that time Martin O'Neill became a manager a couple of months before that, but I wasn't going to sign for Villa. I was on the way down to sign for Portsmouth.
Right.
I remember that the terms was agreed, everything was done. You know, Celtic agreed a fee with Portsmouth, so I was on the way down. It was 3 days before actually the transfer window was closing, and we had the international duty as well. So I was on the way, play the game for Celtic, and I was on the way down to meet Portsmouth in Manchester. And I remember that when I spoke with Harry Redknapp, he was negotiating for me and Gareth Barry, right, to go to both of us to go to Portsmouth. How strange that is. Obviously, I've put my transfer request, so the club was entitled to accept the offer they think is right for them. So they've accepted the Portsmouth to that. And I remember on that morning, I think Villa, I can't remember who was Villa playing. I think Villa were playing Fulham here at home, and I had a phone call at 6 o'clock in the morning. The club said to me that Aston Villa have exceeded the offer. They're paying more money, so the deal is switched off now. Now you have to go and negotiate with Aston Villa. Obviously, Martin O'Neill made a bigger offer. I spoke with Harry Redknapp. He said they can't match it. And in the same day, Aston Villa have offered new contract to Gareth Barry. So he's signed his contract. I've come down here. I've watched the game, and then 2 days it took the negotiation, preparation, medicals and everything, and that's how I've signed for Aston Villa. So me and Gareth on the way together to Portsmouth, and all of a sudden we end up playing for Aston Villa together.
Not a great day for Harry Redknapp.
No,
at all.
no.
Probably one of his worst days.
Yeah, but he was very calm. Obviously, I remember when I spoke to him, he says, "Stiliyan, just to let you know, you've probably already made, Martin he's made a big offer. You've probably made your mind. Should I just talk you through, just to let you know, we can't pay the fee, we don't have the finance. It's up to you what you want to decide." And obviously I went, yeah, I'm going to go with Martin, and he was brilliant on the phone, Harry. But and we were having a laugh with Martin, and he said, "This is the football. Football is ruthless." And but it was good. It was good couple of days, and but I was on the way down to Portsmouth. Villa wasn't on the map at that time.
But what was it about Martin O'Neill that you obviously loved playing for under Celtic and then at Villa?
He's a very simple manager. He don't overcomplicate things. He had a great staff around him. He was a great man management. He trusted the players. If you look at all his team selection, he always had big characters. Players always come up that were great international experience. They always had a good experience in the leagues they were playing in, and he always trusted the players. He always trusted the players, and he let you know that if you play for me, you're gonna get rewarded by playing, contracts, whatever you want, as long as you play, as long as you achieve for me. And it was very simple for everyone. People still talking about, if you win a game, we'll have 3-4 days off.
What happened?
Yeah, of course. And you come back, recharge on a Wednesday evening, you train again, and you're ready again. But if I win, I spend my time with family, I spend my time with friends. Your head is clear. You come back to training willing to go again, willing to train, to play for your teammates. It was a great togetherness. So we had some exceptional. When I remember when I signed for Aston Villa, Martin O'Neill was talking about, obviously, where Randy Lerner wanted to take the club, what investment they're going to put. But he said to me, he was very aware, and he told me, listen, there's going to be a lot of changes in the next 6 months to a year. You may not enjoy it as much as you can. I'll be changing a lot of players. A lot of players will be out. A lot of players will be in. That could disturb the balance of the team. And I've agreed to that because it was a long-term plan with something that they want to build, they want to achieve. And when you looked at it through the first year, second year, we had some tough moments at the start. I had my own tough moments because Martin, all of a sudden, a lot of players were leaving. They had to go and play right wing, and then it was very difficult for me. But I understood that I had to go through it, and I've agreed to do it. So it was not a place that you go and complain about it. You just sit tight, you work hard and wait for your moment. And when you saw after that, it's coming to Ashley Young, Stuart Downing, James Milner, John Carew signed as well. Gabby was firing on a full cylinders. Then you had Martin Lawson. You had a lot of big players with a great international experience. So all of a sudden, from disruption and changing the team, we had a strong team, a team that people were aware of. I think everybody was feeling us playing the big teams. Everybody knew that if we turn up on a day, they had to beat us, which made it difficult for every single team to play against us.
How hard is it in that first season? Because you're trying to settle in. It's a new club. It's a new league for you as well. You're trying to settle in, but then you're having to play in a position that's not really your position. Fans are watching you, probably thinking we're not seeing the best of this guy here. How hard is that when you're trying to settle in to be playing out of position? It's
very difficult. Mentally, it's difficult because you have to adjust. You have to stay positive. You have to be able to, end of the day, I was the first signing for Martin O'Neill. So I was coming from a club at Celtic. I was scoring goals. I was creating goals. So at the start it was perfect. My first games, I was very good. I was creating chances. I was scoring. West Ham, my debut, everybody talking about it, and all of a sudden people start leaving. So we had some players were told that then they have to leave. They don't come and train in the right attitude. They don't come the right attitude in the game. It makes it difficult. Then I had to play as a right wing. Imagine with my pace playing in the right wing. I remember playing against Chelsea, and he was going half time. You need to start taking Ashley Cole, 101 and that. And I'm thinking, this will never happen. This will never happen. And these are the things that you have to deal with it. But you want to stay in a team. You want to be there. And all of a sudden, Martin will start bringing like Stuart Downing, Ashley Young, the wingers, quick pass. Gareth was moved to the middle. Nigel came, so they start playing well. Players with experience. And you just have to wait for your chance, because a lot of players give up too early. I know in football, a second makes a big difference. Yeah. 1 second can change. Injury, bad form, suspension, it makes a massive. And that was my chance. I remember Martin New left me about 3 months after the team. I could hardly make the then, but at that time I used my time to work even harder, to get even fitter. And I remember that Nigel got injured and Martin said, okay, I'll bring you back into the team, but you'll play a different position. I think you've played that position before in your national team. So that period will help me to really realize what I had to work on. I worked a little bit more on my strength, on my stamina, on my running, my power. I had to do it. There was no time for me to waste. Some people would just give up, and when the time would come, I would have not been ready. I would have been struggling. But in these 3 months, I've used my time to actually add on and improve on my performance here, on my fitness level, just to make sure that when I've got that chance, I'll take it and I'll never look back.
And what was O'Neill like in that scenario, those 3 months? Is he speaking to you regularly and saying your time will come?
Oh, no.
Or it's just silent?
He told me he's going to loan me to like a League One team.
Wow. Okay.
This is with Matty O'Neill. He is honest man.
Yeah.
You have to show the work, the dedication, that you're willing to do that. And I didn't expect me to pay attention to me, because he had the team to run out. Sometimes you have to understand that with the managers. They look at you, but they're testing you.
Tough love.
Yeah. You have to understand that. And Martin, you come in the morning, but he had other priorities. Other players are ahead of me. They're playing. They're willing to give everything for him. So he's worried about them. He's worried they work and they're happy and they're winning games for him. And for me, it's about waiting for that opportunity to get back on the good books again. I had to. I didn't want to give up. And also, I was international. I was a captain of the national team. And it's even more difficult, because then the manager's picking me, I'm not playing, I have to be the example, and it wasn't working for me. For me, you have to make a solution, but I have to stick with what I believe, that I've got a chance, that I'll have that chance. Like I said to you, in football everything changed very quickly, and my chance was what, 3 months later? It's nothing. Yeah, I suffered, I wanted to play, I want to be part of it, but I never give up. I never went with bad attitude in training. I never moaned. I worked hard. I always smiled. I tried to be a good teammate. I tried to push the other one beside me, because that was my job. I'm in a team environment, and when you're in a team environment, you have to do these things. There's no way that I could be moody. There's no way, because Gareth, Nigel, Stevie Sidwell, top players as well. And I have to make sure that I've given them enough challenge for them to perform well, because if the team perform well, it's good. Yeah, but I wasn't playing. But I know if I show that attitude, when I go back to the team, they'll show the same attitude towards me. They'll push me, because it's about pushing each other and achieving together. And these 3 months, I've learned a lot about myself as well, and about how demanding Premier League is. How strong you have to be, how precise you have to be in every single game. You don't go into an easy game. That's why we're talking about the Villa at the moment.
Yeah.
The demand is very high. You have to be at your top to win games here. If you're not in your top, you're just going to fall behind. And you don't want to do that. But I believe the club knows that.
At that point, the fact that you've worked under Martin O'Neill before and you know how he works, do you think other players wouldn't have reacted in the same way as you? They wouldn't have put that work in and used that 3 months to refine the game?
Yeah, listen, I've seen a lot of the players giving up and their head is not there because they don't play. But everybody's different. Yeah. But I always believe that with your action and your approach, you can teach other players how to do it. I spoke with a lot of players. A lot of players come into the club and thought they'll be the first choice, and they find out that 6 months later they're not playing. And you can see their body language, their good habits become bad habits. When they come to the club, you see them, they come with a desire. They'll go in the gym before every training. They'll do their proprioception work. They'll do their extra running. 4 months down the line, you see they're going to the bad habits. They don't go to the gym anymore. They don't do the extra training. They don't have the same desire. And you're thinking, you don't have a chance. And you know what? A month later, they've got the chance, they're not ready.
Yeah, it's true.
Because mentally you're not ready. But I've learned, that's why I always say, I've managed to play with some great professional through my time as a footballer, and I've learned a lot. You've learned to pick the good things, you get rid of the bad ones, and you make sure that the good habits stay good habits, because sometimes a good habit you can turn into a bad habit, like I just mentioned it. And for me it was a good learning curve. Listen, since I was 17, 18 years old, I've played with players like Balakov, Stoichkov. You know, this is a world class players which they've shown me how you have to act every training, not just training, outside training, around the training ground, around your teammates, through the games, after the games. This is everything. You've been watched. All your teammates is looking sometime for you to show them the way. Sometimes you have to lead someone, or sometimes you get led. So it's important how you do it, and I've managed to do it in the right way. I believe I've done it in the right way. So that's why I always kept it right, and try to still keep it right in a certain ways.
And during that kind of darker period, there wasn't any phone calls from Harry or anyone else kind of trying to tempt you away?
To be honest, I had a couple of phone calls from Celtic to go back and play again there, but I moved from Celtic here to challenge myself. It's about self-improvement, self-education. I wanted to play and test myself against the best players. You want to play every second week against Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard, and you had all different George Kaifu, still play JJ. This is players that you look at it and you go, I want to play against these players all the time. I don't want to. It's easier for me to go back there.
Yeah.
It's easier for me to go back there. I could have stayed there and I could become a legend. I could have scored 15 goals a season. It was easier option for me, and I had it perfectly there. But I didn't want that. I didn't want to be that comfortable for me. I wanted to develop, and I saw myself that I could still develop. And like I said to you, I've learned every single season in the Premier League how I need to adapt, but just how you need to analyze your opposition. How important it is to understand how the opposition play, how your teammates play. This is self-education. With me playing for Celtic, we were strong there. We were strong, we were powerful. I could have easily stayed there, but I didn't want to do it that way. I want to come and challenge myself, and it was hard. Of course it was hard, but I didn't expect it to be easy.
Obviously you spent time out of the team, as you've just said, but that 2007-2008 season, your first full season at Villa, what a great time to be a Villa fan that was. We look back at it now very fondly, because we were winning most weeks, we were up there challenging, but what kind of place was that to play your football at a team that was going really well in the Premier League? It
was perfect. It was very easy for us, because all of a sudden we had nearly a year together, most of us, so we start understanding each other, how everybody play, what everybody's strength is, how we can use the best of the players' ability, like Ashley Young and Stewie Downing and John Carew and Gabriel Bonoho, how me and Gareth had a great relationship.
Yeah, really good.
Nigel and Sido knew when if they have to replace any of us, or if we have to play free in the middle, how we can play together, who stay back, we were a very balanced team.
Yeah.
We knew the strength of it. We knew how to deal with the opposition. We knew that we were strong on the wings. We knew the pace of Gabi. We knew the strength on John's one-on-one, and how quick we need to get wide and put the balls in the box, because John is already in a good position. It was very easy, and it was really enjoyable, because we were not just winning games, but we were playing well. We had some exciting games. If you remember, against Aston away, Everton, the 4-3 and the 3-3 ones. This is the games, not even going to mention the semi-final against Blackburn, the 6-4 ones, But we had that belief. We had that belief that even if we concede, we'll go again. We've got enough quality to win games. We can hurt teams. And when you have that, we had a great togetherness as well, and it makes a big difference. And Martin, he just left us. You boys, he was just making sure that we stay sharp, we stay fit, we were happy. Yeah, it was a lot, like we talk about, a lot of happy faces, but we managed to keep everybody happy, even the ones that wasn't playing, because we had some big characters. You know, we had some big characters on the bench and they wanted to play. So it was very difficult, but we understood each other, and every one of us were willing to win. We wanted to be a special time for all of us. You know, we had James Milne after. He brought a different dimension into the team. He was even more professional than everyone. He was mourning if we don't train right, if we don't have an attitude in training. He'll be mourning, he'll be demanding, which is you know, at that time I became a captain. It made it easier for me, because you don't have to deal a lot with the problems. You have to just guide players and lead players in the right way.
Just on that, would Milner kind of come up face to face with somebody and go that you're not working hard enough right now?
Oh yeah, we'll have meetings and he'll raise his hands and he'll say, by the way, you boys were poor in training today. This is unacceptable.
Oh, okay.
You need to look after the ball. And you know, as much as players don't like it, that's a high demand.
Yeah.
Because our training session, we're flying through it. You know, the day before the game, you have managers saying, don't tackle with that. Day before the game, he becomes lively.
And did he call himself out in those training sessions if he wasn't?
Oh yeah,
performing?
you see James, if he don't perform and he make a mistake, you just go mad. Really? Because he demands a lot of himself. But that's why he's in that level. That's why he went to Man City and won stuff. He went to Liverpool and he's the main player. That's why the manager loves him. He never creates problems. He's reliable. He believes and he leads in the right way. When you have a player like that, it's not much to do with him. There's not much to do with him. He does it for you. And unfortunately, these days, you don't see many of these players. They're very rare. Yeah,
he's a one-off.
And yeah, how old is he now? 32 or 33?
32, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and he's still the fittest player out there because he's got schedules. He rests, he eats in the right times, he prepares very. When football is football, he knows how to do it, and he's done it for years. And he's a great example for the young kids. And this is the idols that you want to look up to. You know, this is players that you have to. But they say they call him boring Milner. He's not that much. Oh, he's in the social media now.
We call him boring, Tom Julian say that.
But I treat myself like Milner.
No, but it's a perfect example for young players how to achieve. You know, because with James, you know, he had to work with to achieve things. You know, to improve his skills, to improve his fitness, because you have to do it.
He's been playing every week since he was 16 as well, pretty much, and he's still going strong now. That's incredible.
And it was a pleasure to play with him. The other ones were Stuart Downing. You know, people talk about Stuart Downing. He's one of the fittest players I've ever seen.
Yeah.
One of the fittest. Pre-season, you won't catch him. He was like, oh my God. But this is players, you know, people don't know much about it because they're more private, they're more quieter, they're not as, you know, social media gurus like a lot of the players these days. They'll be very calm.
What was it like that summer when it looked like Gareth Barry was going to be going to Liverpool, club captain, massive part of the dressing room, massive part of the team? When he doesn't end up going and he ends up staying for another year, or when he's on the cusp of leaving, what's it like in the dressing room? How did players treat him when that was going on?
Oh, listen, it doesn't matter how everything. We didn't want him to go. He was a special player.
Yeah.
I mean, Gareth was one of the players that a lot of people don't underestimate. You know, the quality of that boy is incredible. Knowledge of the game. He was fit, he was strong, knowledge of playing as a midfielder, he knew the game inside out. And we didn't want to see him because he would have opened a big hole. I remember James Milner had to fill in for him to play there because he was so special for him. He was the heart of the team. Like, he can control the game. He can slow the game up. He can pick the right pass. He can get forward. He can play defensively, offensively. If he had the both sides of the game, so to lose him for us was going to be a big disaster. I was glad that everybody, not just me, everybody was glad that he stayed. He was under a lot of pressure, but what he felt, the support of us. We never talked about it. He always feel welcome from us. He enjoyed it every single session. The environment was good for him and he just loved it. Sometimes, you know, the fans will be, at the start was a bit, you know, but after that, when Gareth was playing, they start loving him again. You're always going to have people that will have had feelings towards him, but mostly of the fans, they've changed because they saw what kind of players. And you know what? He ended up in Man City and look at the record he's got there. He just showed how special he was. He played every single game there. He won leagues, cups. He was the main, the engine of the team when he was playing. And fans, you as a fan, you should be proud that somebody with that caliber went there and made a great difference.
So that's a question I was going to ask, because you've got players like Gareth Barry, obviously James Milner. They go on to teams that are winning trophies, winning titles, and as a kind of a senior player, do they come to you and say, "Look, Stan, I want to furthermore, I want to go and win the Premier League. What's the best move?" How is that as a teammate? Do you have those conversations?
Of course,
because you're friends.
Of course, right? Of course. Listen, it's when you're in a dressing room, you go through conversation. You know, if people have an issue in that, you talk about it. They ask the question. End of the day, we're in the same industry.
Yeah.
We end up at one point of our careers, we end up in the same situation. So yeah, we talk about it. He asks for advice, you move it, but it's a bigger thing out there, you know, agent, clubs, everything. It's so political, and we try to give advice of football side of perspective. You know, what chance you got to win things? Because when you look at your career, you want to play for great clubs. You want to achieve a lot. You want to end up with medals and titles. And, you know, sometimes when you're given that opportunity, it's one of the time of opportunity. Some players have to take it. They have to take it. Look at Ashley Young and Man United. You know, it is opportunities that you have to take it. We always believe, yeah, our club is the greatest, but we forget it's even greater clubs out there. It's bigger clubs, you know, they work on a completely different level, the financially and everything. And when you have that buzz that you can do it, you can be part of that, of course you have to take it. And I'll never say no to him. I say you just have to realize when you're going to lose, when you leave this place, what you're losing, what you're leaving behind, and when you move to the next place, what you're going to gain. Are you having the same you had here? Are you adding whatever you had here to the other club? And he's, you know, people always work that way. And some people listen, and some people moved on. And now, if you ask Gareth, you think you've done the right choice? You're gonna go, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we can argue with it now.
Yeah, yeah. But this is the decisions you make. And as a fan, you know, when Christian Benteke, when Fabian left, you know, when they both left, I was heartbroken because they were special players. And you know, I love coming here and watching them. And you know, they were talking about Jack Grealish going as well. It would hurt me to see Jack going. Yeah. But what opportunities for him? Yeah, he could have played the Champions League final. You know, if people are talking about it. So it's the dynamic, the industry of today's football is completely different than before. Before you have players that they'll play for the shirt, they want to play as long as they can for one club. It's completely different now. And you just adapt, adjust and evolve. That's the way it goes. And it's heartbreaking to see a good players leave in a club because you won't be able to watch him. But you wish him all the best because he's moving to the next level for different reasons, and mostly to achieve things.
Do you think that's ultimately what stopped Villa getting into the top four? Because we were so close to breaking in, but every summer we were just losing a player or two players. Some summer if we'd have kept them together, yeah, we'd have probably done it.
It's always the case. That's why the recruitment is a big thing now. You know, whoever you lose, how you replace him. Does he fit into the dynamic of the team, the balance of the team? That's very important. And it was a shame. I remember when nearly done it. About 12 games before end of the season, we were 11 points ahead of Arsenal.
I remember.
This is the season that we nearly had it. We end up 7 behind them. This is the heartbreaking thing. You know, looking back, I think we had a great team without managing to achieve or win anything, which is really heartbreaking because we did have the quality to win. And we went to one final, which I thought we were robbed, but it's the way it goes.
We'll get into that.
People only remember the winners, we'll put it that way. But that was only downfall with that team that we couldn't end up winning anything. Well, we won the Peace Cup if you want to count that one.
Big trophy. It's a big trophy. We all remember it.
Yeah,
we count it.
But it's these moments that you remember. They're good moments.
Can we talk about the League Cup for a second? And when you're on the pitch and the Vidic moment happens, you know, what's going through in your mind?
When Gabby went through, we thought it was a red card. I went, here we go. we got up because we had a blistering start. The way we started, we were on their faces, Gabby was running behind them, and then we picked that ball and he went, and I'm like, we are 1 up. When he took him down, I say, yeah, he's off. We've got a chance, because he was a big player for them. Yeah. And after that, you know, we still played very well. But I think if that would go into down to 10 men, we could have a better chance. And it was heartbreaking at the end. And you know what? We couldn't. Most of us couldn't really enjoy it, because we were concentrating on that one incident that you think, oh, he should have been sent off. Instead of talking about, you know, what achievement we had, been in a final, the atmosphere, the fans, everything. We talked about that incident for ages, which took away the enjoyment really from us at the end. But it was a good game. It was a great day. I think the fans loved it as well, and we felt like we were robbed. But that's the way football is. Do you remember what you said to the referee? You might not be able to repeat it, but in that moment. No, to be honest, we were all like, we couldn't believe it when he only give him a yellow card. I remember Aston and Gabby, they were just storming down, and he kept pulling me and saying that I have to take them away and that. But then you're going, oh my God, what opportunity we just missed. If you would have sent off 1-0 up, game is nearly over for us. The way we were playing on that big pitch, we had more space. They had to shove, you know, they have to take either Berbatov and Owen out, you know, just to make sure that they'll cover at the back. But we didn't have that luck, so the boys were angry. Half time as well, we were like, oh my God, you know, he should have. I remember Martin was going, he should have been sent off. They were looking the videos in after that, but it was already finished anyway.
And they bring Rooney on as well. He was on fire that season, wasn't he? He was scoring headers every week.
Great header, great leap there. Yeah. I would have blamed Bradford though. You should have.
What was it like for you, Lee? Because you've come full circle already. You've struggled at the start for Villa, but then eventually you've gone on to be club captain, and you're leading Aston Villa out at Wembley. You're leading Villa to top 6 finishes. How proud are you of that?
Proud and honoured. No, I've always said I've managed to play abroad to great clubs, Celtic and Aston Villa, and I've managed to play finals with both teams, and to be able to walk out as a captain to teams, it was a great honour. It's great satisfaction, and it's good as a player because you've been given the trust from the players and your managers to lead these boys to the big stages, and I've had the chance to do that. But I was lucky to lead a great group of players, which make a massive difference. A good captain is no good without a good team, and when I was leading it, we had an incredible team, great characters, willing to win, down-to-earth boys, and you know what? When I had that pleasure to do it, it makes it even more satisfied that I had that armband and leading these boys out in the big stages.
It's obvious how proud you are to be captain. How much of a difference did that make to your game, or did you try and be the captain regardless of the armband?
You have to lead in the right way. You have to understand, as a captain, sometimes you make decision on a field instead of the manager. You know, sometimes you talk with the manager about you inside, you see what's happening, you see the body language of the players. Some players will struggle, some players will have a bad time, so you have to really understand. Sometimes I had to deal with players on the pitch, doubt in their performance and that. Sometimes I had to sacrifice my own game just to make sure I'll be a good team and help somebody else who I think they can win us the game and could be good at that day. So it's these little things that makes you a different captain, or a good captain or a bad captain. So for me it was very, very important. I took it very seriously. I think being a captain is like leading your family, because on the pitches you're fighting together. Sometimes you just have to sacrifice a lot of your own performances, your own way of playing, just to help everybody else. You know, sometimes I just had to sit, because I thought that our team we attacking, but we're not going quick back. So I have to make sure that I pull the right players and guide them in the right way, and sit more back and don't go on and join it. Or if a team plays along balls and the man said, "What do you think you have to do?" I have to sit in front. I need to make sure that I'll cancel the balls. I'll make sure that I'll be closer to the fans. I have to pull it's things like that. You have to be able to manage as a captain. It's not just getting out there and just there, it's more into it. You know, I've had a lot of conversation with players, you know, before games, through the week about their problems. People forget that players are human beings. They've got problems like ordinary people. You know, they go home, they've got wife, they've got kids, they've got moms, they've got dads, they've got demands. So they come with a different mindset every day. They come happy, they come moody. You have to deal with it. You have to understand that the dynamic of this dressing room is completely different. You've got 25 different characters. Not everybody's happy. Not everybody wants to be at the club. So you have to make sure that when Saturday come, everybody's in the right frame of mind.
So Gareth Barry was Martin's first captain, then Martin Larsson, and then it went on to you. Big shoes to follow, those two unbelievable leaders in different ways. What was different about you? Because I look at those three leaders and I think they're all different. They all offer something unique. What do you think was your best trait as a captain?
I think communication.
Yeah,
that was the best one. Like Gareth was completely different. Gareth was leading by his performances.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be very quiet. You won't say much. You won't be in a. Martin was gonna be more. I'm the one. Let's go, guys. Did that, but you won't be communicative as well. With me, I had to communicate. I had to understand everybody. I need to make sure that I know the background of everyone. I need to make sure that I'll get them in the right frame of mind to play the game and to win games for the club and be good a teammate. To understand how important is a good teammate. That's where I was strongest at, because I wasn't the most gifted players, and I know that. Sometimes I'll have bad performances, but I need to make sure I'm there. I can listen to you. I understand what you're going through. Yeah, I had a bad performance as well, so I could be example having a bad performance as well, but showing you there is a way helping others as well. So that's how you understand your captain, and I still have a good relationship because I became part of their lives, because I knew a lot about them, and that's why I still keep in touch with them. But like you say, everybody leads in a different way.
Who were the captains that inspired you, kind of growing up and then through your career? Were there people that you go, I want to be like him?
Stoichkov.
And
yeah, he was. A lot of people don't like him, but he was the one that I understood how important it is to know your players, to be the players' captain, not to be people's captain. You know what you do out there, and kissing the badges and that for me wasn't there. I wanted to be a captain for the team. If the fans appreciate and see how I lead, yeah, it's good. But the most important for me was understanding the team. Pay attention to the team and make sure you get the best out of the team. And I've learned it from him because he was the perfect that. A lot of people wasn't happy with him, but when you see Stoichkov in the environment, the team environment, you give everything for every player. You defend them, you'll be there for them, you'll fight for them. And when you see somebody like that, you just take the best out of him. And we always believe, we always learn from different people, but you take the best, you take the one that you think is going to work for you.
I want to go backwards a little bit and touch on something that I think is a bit of a bugbear for Villa fans. So the season when we fell away, we were 11 points clear or whatever it was, and we ended up 7 points behind Arsenal. We were in the Europa League at the time, and we gambled, didn't we? And it didn't work. You didn't play in that Moscow game. Many other players didn't play in the Moscow game. What did you think of that at the time?
It was a very strange decision. I totally agree with it, and I remember we just passed the group stages. We could have gone to the quarterfinal of the UEFA Cup as well. It was a big cup as well. So I think that the financial demands, I think in the Premier League, I think Martino had to make a decision. And at the time, people would think, is it a right decision or bad? It turned out it was a bad decision. But that we make these decisions. I remember we didn't know that we were on trial. We were told on a Thursday morning, on a Wednesday evening, the group was up there saying, all these players will be traveling to Moscow. All you guys are giving you 2 days off. And from now on, I'm going to play. You're going to be the ones going till end of the season, big couple of months. We have to be ready. We end up not winning the game for about 8 games. It was really frustrating. And that's why you as a manager, you make this decision. You make sure that you go for a priority. But if it was me, you go for full power of everything. Yeah. Because we had that balance and that dynamic on the team. We knew each other. Maybe he thought that 4 hours flight to Russia, playing the game on Aston, coming back. I remember we played Stoke. I remember 2-2 we drew. We still played very well, but we just made two bad mistakes, and that was when we just went right down. And
Glenn Whelan.
Yeah. Yeah, but each decision in football you make, and this is the regret, like I said to you before, regrets that we couldn't really win anything. At that time, achieving fourth maybe and going further to the FA Cup could have worked for us. But it didn't work either way.
No,
shame. Do you think that affected the morale of the players, or do you think they backed the... Because, I mean, you lay it out and strategically it kind of makes sense. You can see the logic in it, but the players want to play and just go for it.
Of course, you want to play on a big stage.
So does that affect morale of the...
He did.
Yeah.
Especially not at the start. At the start, I think we had a lot of good players coming out, like Barry Bannan, Marco Brighton, Delphine. So we had some good players coming, young players. So he wasn't going with a totally weak team. But he sent a lot of young boys there, and we were happy that they will have a game because they were training with us. They didn't have a much of playing time. But a few downs down the line, when we thrown that lead away, then we start questioning ourselves. That we done the right thing? Did that just give us a little bit? We kind of took our eyes off the prizes, because when you're going for everything, you're focused. You know that you have to play every single week, every Saturday, every Thursday, every Saturday, every Thursday, every Saturday, every Sunday or Thursday. So you have to be at your best. You get that balance through it. But when down the line, few months later, we were like, maybe it's the wrong decision. We should have not rested us, and it became a little bit a joke for us. To be honest, at the end, we were playing like Gaz, and other players said we should not rest it. After that rest, we couldn't perform, but it was a decision that had to be made. Do
you think we were a bit of a nearly team? A team that we nearly won this. We nearly got top four. We nearly won the League Cup. Is that something you look back on? It is a real big frustration for you.
It is. Like I mentioned to you before, the only downfall for that team was not winning anything, not ending up with the silverware, which was important. When you have great teams, good teams are judged by achievements. We've achieved a lot as a group in our own view, and the fans as a club, but if you look at our records, we haven't achieved everything as silverware, which is the downfall for us, and that's what we regret. That's why we say nearly team.
Yeah.
It's a good saying, a good description, and I think we wasn't a complete team.
And from the end of, I think that 2009-2010 season, so after the League Cup final, we finished sixth again. The new season's about to embark, and Martin O'Neill leaves.
Yeah, that was a big shock for most of us, because I think a couple of days before that,
6 days, I think, yeah.
A couple of days before our pre-season, and it was a shock for everyone. It was a complete shock for everyone. Nobody was coming out saying what's happening. We were in doubt about what was going to happen. A lot of the players came because of what Martin O'Neill promised and where the cup was going, and all of a sudden he left. We were like, what's happening now? And then everything started to go downfall. Manager was coming. 6 months later, the next one, changes after changes. It wasn't a stability of the team, and it cost. A lot of the players wanted to leave. A lot of managers were coming. They were not happy with current players, with the good players, that they were just selling them. People were leaving, and the disruption of the other team started going really bad. We lost the atmosphere in the team. It was very difficult. I remember when Alex McLeish were here, at one point we were only 3 points off the relegation as well. And we had a great team, and you were thinking, what's going wrong here? So we had to hold a meeting, all the players, and we had to put a plan together how we can survive and make sure that we, put performance. It was the issues. We had to sort a lot of things internal, to make sure we managed to survive after that, which is moments that you don't want to deal with it when you have a great team.
And as captain, did you have the same idea as everybody else when Martin O'Neill left? You were told at the same time, or was it?
No, nobody knew about it.
Nobody?
No, it just came out on the press.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember I spoke with Martin a couple of months after that. I tried to call, he didn't answer, I remember, and then he called back a couple of months after.
Wow.
Yeah, and we didn't know. Nobody knew about it.
we'd done no business, had we, that summer? We weren't buying anyone,
and that was one of the problems,
yeah,
right?
That's what
so.
Martin
I think that's where the problem was. It's about, I think Martin still wanted to push for that 6th place. I think Randy probably decided, I've pushed it hard enough, I've spent enough, probably I'm gonna go different way. And just both went on a different end. But they had a good time together.
Frustrating though, because we spent shortly after that 18 million or so on Ben, and it's like that money was there,
But that's what I'm saying, that the way clubs are run now and people make decisions, you have to be very strategic how you do it and what you do it, and you need with the managers now, they back them up, and you should know that it should be a long term with the manager, to put his view across, to build his own team. But not many managers have their time these days. You can look at it. I'm glad that Dean Smith now is, he's got a little bit of consistency, and he can put a plan ahead, and you can plan in the proper way. Before, you've got managers, and 7 months later they're out. No time to put the strategy, the beliefs, the plans, anything. So it's great to see that the club now is got more stability, most sustainable club at the moment. I think they're working in the right direction, and I think the manager feel the support not just from the board, but from the fans as well.
Obviously, you've gone from at that point you've gone from a manager who you know very well in Martin O'Neill. You're his captain. He loves you. You love him. Then Gerard Houllier comes in, who I presume you didn't have any relationship with him at all prior.
No.
Again, you kind of found yourself out of the team, but then you've worked hard, and by the end of the season, you're in that midfield again.
Yeah, listen, with Gerard Houllier for me was another strange one, and I don't like when people are not honest, and this is his only downfall. And I remember we started the season well. We played against Man City, I had man of the match, and I went for international. And at that time, with international, if you remember, he bought the boy McCoon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He brought him in, and obviously I'm not a stupid boy. I've been in football for a long time, so I come back from international, and bear in mind, playing well. We beat Man City 1-0 here. Benty scored. We were playing very well. You don't have to make a change, but obviously he bought the player. So the morning before the game, we'll always have a coffee. Me, Bardell, a couple of the players were having a coffee. So he walked through, Gerard, he say, "Captain, how are you?" I said, "Okay." He said, "I'm resting you today." It was a bit strange for me, like saying in front of the boys, "What would you say? I'm resting you today?" So I let it go. I was like, "That's fine." So he started playing McCoon. I could see where things are going. But every time we have a game, you keep saying in front of everyone, "You're having a rest. You're having a rest. You're having a rest." So now I could see where things are going for me. I didn't say a word. Come every day in training. I smiled, said good morning. I worked hard. 3 months down the line, I remember they couldn't win a game.
No, I remember.
They couldn't win again. That's the situation. So because I wasn't playing, I had to make sure I'm gonna cover extra mileage to make sure my muscle will work in same intensity, easy, close as the game. Because if I get put it back in the team, I have to be ready. And no excuse for me. He's already dropped me, and I can see where everything is going. So I had to be, in a perfect shape again. I went through it, so for me it was quite easy. I could see it. So I remember we were playing. I can't remember who we were playing, but on every Thursday, because I wasn't playing on Saturday, I knew I wasn't playing. I wasn't involved. I'll do power session. We had a little like a hill, so I was doing a lot of power, a lot of jumps, just to make sure my muscle worked to the max. So at the training, obviously I can see he started to worry a little bit about it. We was going down the tail. We were very close to relegation, and I can see in the back of my eye I was doing my power. And bear in mind, I've since he dropped me every week, every training, I've trained in the same way. I haven't given up. I've trained. I've tackled. I was loud. Everything that I've always done. So it's funny how the manager works. So I can see him going back. That's on a Thursday. We play on a Saturday. I think we play Sunderland. We beat them 2-0 or 1-0. I think we played Sunderland. And I can see the back of the head is coming, and he go, all right, captain. Say it, I'm okay. Gaffer, you okay? And he goes, listen, just to let you know, last week you've trained very well. I know where he's going. And he say, you have to be careful today. You may be playing Saturday. Bear in mind, you haven't even talked to me through that. Only thing he's saying to me is, you'll be rested.
So weird.
Yeah,
so weird.
Fabian never one point, if you come across Fabian one day and you speak to him, Fabian said to me, Skip, he's getting really annoying now. You know, he keeps saying in front of us, and I'm like, listen, he's the manager, he makes the decision, he is. So they start laughing. We go before training, he go, if he pass again, he say, you rested, we're just gonna laugh. So he passed and he go, Skip, you'll be rested today. And I'm like, okay.
It's so weird to just do that.
And quite disrespectful.
He is very disrespectful. Right. He is very disrespectful. He didn't pull me, to say to me, I can see you bring your own players, it doesn't matter. But if somebody's better and playing better, there's no point. Let him compete. That's the way it goes. But he was taking different approach. I don't know if he was looking for me to react, so it'd be easier for you to have a excuse. But I didn't react. Come every morning, and I don't have to react. It's not my place to pick the team. But I don't like when people are not truthful. Two faces, I don't like that. That's where you lose the trust. And you know what? I started playing after that. You remember Gerard Houllier had this problem with his heart. Gary McLeish took over after. And he had one day, he pulled me and say, I was wrong to what I made.
Well, at least he admitted it.
At least he admitted it. You know what I say? Fair play, Gaffer. Not a problem at all. It is football end of the day, but you should have told me, say, I agree with that. But you know what? You stood up, you played well, you finished the season strongly. And it was good, And after that, we ended up playing me and McCune together.
Yeah. and then he was never seen again.
Listen, he was a great player. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't judge the player because of the manager by him and he makes the decision to drop me but play him. I still had a great relationship with John McCune. He's a great lad, but it's not his fault.
No.
It's not his fault. So again, when you're captain of the team, you can't blame the boy. He was a great player, but at the end of the day, the manager haven't dealt with the situation perfectly, which happens.
Do you think, health permitting, do you think Houllier would have got it right at Villa? If he hadn't had his heart attack and he'd gone on to the next season as manager, do you think he would have got it right?
No. He upset way too many people. At the end, he upset John Carew, he upset Richard Dunn, he upset Gabby. So players didn't willing to play for him. So when you lose that, forget about it. He just wanted to come and just rule. That's me. I'm going to do it my way. It's not going to be your way. I don't care if you're happy or not happy. Unfortunately, in football, it don't work that way anymore. You lose 3 or 4 players. Forget about it. And he was just changing things for the sake of it. It didn't make any sense. He was picking random teams, and if somebody have a bad game, you just leave him aside. And you lose them. He's like, he don't do it that way. But every manager deal in a different way. But listen, when you listen to the interviews with Gerard and Carragher, they say he's the best manager worked with.
Yeah, that's it.
So probably worked there. He didn't work at Villa, and he is the way for the managers. And sometimes, like I said before, you just have to adapt and adjust. You have to first understand who you're working with, what kind of people you're working with. If you don't do that these days, you're losing the net, and you've lost it.
It's such an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Going from Martin O'Neill, who was, in your own words, tough love, and then Gerard Houllier kind of brings in his own tough love, but it's completely different, and just it clashes. And in that moment, you've lost the team, and you know that it's not going to work from there.
We nearly went down.
Yeah.
If you remember, we were 6 points off the relegation, and we end up in the last. We won 9 and drew 1. We went and beat Arsenal 2-0 away. We had it really tough. And we had to again sit down and talk about things. When I remember when he had arguments with Richard Dunn and James Collins. They were our 2 best defenders at the time. They didn't want to play for him, and when that happened to him, Gary McLeish had to sit that we had to sit down and resolve a lot of issues, and they come back and they were outstanding because they were top players. but you've lost them, and when you lose them, it's very difficult. Very difficult. At that time, if you remember, he was trying to play Kieran Clark, and he was only a young boy.
Yeah, I remember.
You know, and Chris Hurd as well. He played them both as a centre halves against Manchester United. You think dear me. You know, it's very difficult. Football is a very, very difficult industry at the moment, and he didn't get it right. And when you don't get things right, it was very complicated to get things right afterwards, because it was so much wrong done. To put things right, it took a long time, and it took a lot of adjustment to get it right.
I mean, Alex McLeish comes in, not a popular appointment with the Villa fans, but initially, you're talking about all that wrong that was done before, he did kind of stabilise us in that first half of the season. We had a decent first half of the season.
Another manager, he completely, you know, he listened to the players. It was a good environment. We had some good games, some bad games. You know, he tried to introduce a couple of new things. He didn't want to change many things as well, but he did. I think when he moved from, the issue with Alex was the fans never give him a chance.
No.
And you can understand why. You can understand that, but he was a great person. He was very supportive, he was funny, he was cheerful. He would come and, you know, laugh every morning. He had a great staff with him as well. So we had a good time. We had some difficult times with him, but we had some good. We had some great result with him, and, you know, it was enjoyable under Alex. And, you know, but he felt that whatever he does will never be good enough. Fans will never give him that time, will never give him that love, and, you know, it was very difficult for him.
From a player's perspective, you hear Alex McLeish comes in. Did you guys give him any stick for coming from Birmingham? Was there any gags on him?
Yeah. He's a Rangers manager as well. I'd definitely give him a stick. Perfect. But, you know, he was that cheerful man. He was very bubbly, and you take the hammering, but he'll give you as well. And he was very good. He was very good, and you know, he was great with the boys, and the boys loved him. The boys loved him, and you know, he wasn't, like I say, he wasn't trying to come in and be, look, I'm this and I'll do this and I'll do that. He was just following the rules. He was good. Players were happy playing under him. You know, if you remember, Stevie Allen started playing well under him as well, because he gave him more freedom, more confidence, until he got injured again. So we had some good times with him. But like I say, I think he felt the pressure that he'll never be good enough for the Villa fans, which was a lot on his mind. You can see that, because when the game through the week, when you're in a training ground, it's very relaxed. There's no fans there. Everybody is relaxed. Everybody's working hard. But when the game comes, you can sense the intensity in his voice, and he get very anxious about it. You know, again, especially at Villa Park, you can see that. Yeah. You can see that, but it's normal. I think it's just a normal reaction from him. You know, moving from obviously Birmingham to Villa.
Because you were on fire when he first came in. You were scoring 30-yarders every week.
Yeah, he kept challenging. He changed the position. He said, from now on, Stan, you're not going to recede back. You're going to be back, playing forward. And I loved it.
Yeah,
and I loved it. I've backed, you know, I was at that age that people were still asking the question, can he still run it? I still done it in 31. And I've just turned in 32, and I'm still playing. I was scoring the most goals of the season that I've done it. I was assist. I was back enjoying it again, and then something interesting happened, and here we go.
Very interesting. How does that feel? Just before we move on, how does that feel as a player playing well, but in a team that's not playing well? Like, how do you balance that?
It was difficult, because we were fighting a lot. Most of it, you know, it was completely different eras, you know, different manager were playing, we were controlling more games, we had, more of the ball. But with Alex, we had to be set up more of defensive side. We have to wait for our moments. I have to make these runs all the time to surprise teams. You know, we're building up slowly. We won't use our full-backs all that quick, and that. It was completely different. So it was very strange, but it worked for us. It put us in a position that actually worked with us. I remember one of the games, behind me was talking about Kieran Clark and Chris Hurd. That was my two midfielders behind me. Barry Banner was playing on the one side, Matt O'Brighton on the other side. You know, that's our team. So when you're Alan Mercier, you gain, I can't just go and play against the teams that outplayed them. I have to be set up properly, and I just need to wait for, use the pace of Marco Brighton and get Barry Bannon, to get in and start linking with me. So he adjusted very well to the players he had, and like I said to you, sometimes worked for us, sometimes didn't. That's why we finished 10th, 11th. We finished, so it was okay.
Bent's got injured, didn't he, as well, which your main goal scorer has then gone.
Yeah.
After the transfer window, so you can't even do anything about it.
Yeah, which is a big loss for us. And Bendy loved it, and having Darren, it was complete. It was very difficult to be handled from he loved it going behind. So defenders don't like seeing strikers going behind, and he loved it. He was always in the right position. He was typical goal scorer.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were training, he was in the right position all the time. He won't move, but he's always there, and he's a typical goal scorer. And we'd loved when Benty was fit, but like you said, that we didn't have a big option after that when he got injured.
Yeah, so we've lost Bent, and then Arsenal away at the Emirates. Club captain goes through one of the worst things you can ever go through.
Well, at that time at Aston, I didn't know what was really happening, to be honest. I thought it was just a little cold, and something that I've picked up from the boys. Kids get cold and you pick up things, and us as athletes, we notice these things very quickly because we're fit, we have less body fat, and when you get cold, you got it straight away, and you get it harder than a normal person. You experience it more harder. So for me, it was like a normal, I maybe have a flu, I'll run it off. But at that half time, my body was completely, it was acting in a different way. My brain wanted to do stuff, my body didn't react it. I remember making the mistake for the first goal as well. Going through the emotion at half time, going and playing the full 90 minutes. And on a Tuesday when we had the heart checkups and the blood, on a Thursday, I had the devastating news. So for me, from one extreme to completely different. And it was very painful and very difficult 3 years afterwards, just adjusting your life, adjusting everything you've done before to completely new chapter of your life, fighting for your life, diagnosed with leukemia. This was the hardest to accept, and the hardest to accept is not playing football again. When you diagnosed with leukemia, it's the treatment. You get used to it, you move through it, you get in there, but everything you've done all your life, everything you worked for, everything you love to do, has been taken away from you. That was the hardest bit for me. Going through a treatment was difficult. It was hard, I was in the dark places, but you go through it. You manage to fight, you live day by day. You fight just to see the day tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day that I want to see. You don't make plans, which sometimes makes it easier for you because it's just that day that you go through it, you have a difficult day, you get to the next one, more chemotherapies, good news, bad times, good times, you just move through it. But when I was told that I was not going to play football again, this is something that just stabbed me right through my heart, and it was very difficult to accept.
I want to talk a little bit more about that and your psychology through it, because throughout this interview you've talked about being left out of the team and just working harder and harder. I don't want to trivialize it at all, but is it a similar kind of thing? Right, I'm going to beat this because that's the way I am, and I've got things to live for, and I'm not ready to quit on this.
Yeah, everything I've learned as a person, as a footballer, as an outside football as well, it did help me. The desire and the dynamic that I lived my life with, it helped me to go through my treatment. My treatment was a hell. It was a hell because it was the longest treatment of all the leukemias. It's 3 years. So for me, I did, at the start, I didn't know how long it was going to be. I thought it's going to be 6 months and I'm going to get back to normal. For me, mentally, it was to fight to that long-term plan. I had to survive, and for me to survive, I couldn't, like I said to you, I couldn't make long-term plans. It was like day by day, day by day, day by day. Being a footballer, you can set up plans. being a person, you can set the plans, you can structure your life. Okay, I'll study this, I'll try to go for this job, maybe in 3 years time I'll be in that firm. You can set this goal, but diagnosed with cancer, you can't make plans. You don't know how to make plans. You completely find yourself in an environment that you've never experienced. Hospitals, chemotherapies, bloods, nurses, don't see your family, you can't see people because you don't have immune system. You know, this is something that is completely different. Your mind, I was in a chemotherapy, high doses of steroids, everything play with your mind. You know, sitting in the hospital for a year is not something that people say, oh, you have to be strong mentally. It's more that, it's beyond that. It's beyond that. Every day I've slept for months, couldn't remember because of the tiredness of chemotherapies. I had 96 hours chemotherapy hooked in. Not allowed to go out. You hooked in the big back and you just go back and forth. You get tired and you've got still half a back to go. You know, you feel sick. There's no way you can take it out and don't have it anymore. You know, you sign your own letters, you know, side effects, coma, death, you know, confusion, losing your sight, you know. It's something that you sign off. My wife asked me a question, you know, before you sign off your treatment or your chemotherapy, you read through the side effects. Coma, death, you know, are you gonna sign that? You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice, you just have to go through it. You don't know what's coming tomorrow, you don't know how you're gonna react on a chemotherapy. This is beyond the mental strength, you know, mental strength. I was confused more, I had panic attacks, you know, doubtful. You know, I was on a treatment for nearly more than a year. Hit every month, you get hit, your counts go back up again, you get hit, that's for a year. At the end, it doesn't matter how much willpower you've got or mental strength you've got, you lose it. You start doubting, I've put so much weight. You looking in the mirror, it's not you. I've got moon face, my face was like that. You cry and you just don't know when the end of it. You don't see the end of it. You know, people talking about, oh, is the light end of the tunnel? And I keep going, where's that light? Yeah. I can't see anything at the moment.
3-year tunnel.
So people, you know, talking about mental strength, I don't even know the mental strength, I think it's the people around me that pushed me to go through it. I knew what I had to do because I still wanted to be, I always talk about it, I still wanted to see my kids grow, I still wanted to be a father, a husband. You start appreciate little things. And for me it was important to see each day, to make sure I'm gonna be able to come to the stage that I can go and be active again. I can be around the kids, you know, without being out of breath. You know, my first exercise when I finished my treatment, my first exercise was 3 minutes walk, and I had to sit down. That was me. But for me, it was a great achievement. 1 month down the line, I was walking 50 minutes. 2 months down the line, half an hour. Then I started 5 minutes run. 10 minutes walk. That's how you get back to it. But it's a long, long journey. And it was difficult. It was difficult, but I don't complain. I've learned a lot about it. You learn a lot about people as well. I had friends that they never contacted me to this day, good friends. I'll have a text, oh, great to hear you well now. I didn't know how to approach you. I didn't know what to say. I was crying, but I didn't know what to do. Can you blame them? No. But then you question it. Well, a lot of other people came and see me. A lot of other people made the effort. You could have done it. So you get a lot of, you know, going through moments like that, you've learned about yourself, a lot of people around you, and you decide how to go forward and what way to live your life.
When you were at those lowest points, were you aware of the support that you were getting at Villa Park every week, the minutes applause on 19?
The first 6 months of the treatment, yeah, because it was everywhere, and it was really cheerful. And Paulina will bring me a lot of their letters, and the social media was just getting powerful at that time. And she will show me what people were saying, the support, and what events they'll do to support me. Here in England, in Bulgaria, around the world. People becoming part of my story, part of my life. And it was great to see, and it was giving me great encouragement. But after that, the following 6 months, I was constantly in bed. I couldn't remember. Paulina talking about them, people who come and sit me, I wouldn't remember. I wouldn't be able to stand up, for like 10 minutes to pay attention to someone. I was that tired. Everything got wiped out in your body. So it was something that, you just don't remember things. Paulina reminds me about things that happen in a hospital, conversation and that. Wouldn't even remember. But this is the moments that you when you're going through that, you help others after, because we've got foundation and we've got a lot of people that we help. But when you have a foundation, people only think people come there for financial support. No, people call that for moral support, mental support. I've got people going through different treatments, and they struggle to find jobs after that, to go back to their normal life. They think that they're cursed and people don't want to give them job, and they don't want to try. So this is a mental problem for other people as well. So being able to help and guide people is great. It's difficult because you can never run away from it. And sometimes, these days people don't ask you anymore, what kind of player you've been and what you've done, what you achieved. First one is, how's your health? I had the interview not long ago, and we were talking about my boy. We was out having dinner, and I had an old man came to me and said, "Oh, Stiliyan, how are you? How's your health? Are you in remission now?" And my little boy, after the conversation, he said, "Why is everybody asking you that? But everything is perfect with you now. Are you still not well?" So kids listening to that, it's not any more football anymore, which is very difficult. But then I have to understand and tell them and say that everything is fine. But not many people know about it. Not many people are educated about it, and not many people want to know about it. And I agree.
Is that part of what you do as well, though, in terms of, because you talked about how people didn't come to see you because they didn't know what to say? Is that something the foundation can then help with to make it relatable?
Yeah, we let people communicate. We let them understand that communication and letting people know and fighting through it that you've achieved a lot in life. Something that people haven't achieved. You've become stronger, you've become more knowledgeable about things, and you should be out there helping other people, because a lot of people need help. We're talking about mental health these days. You guys are aware as well, how many mental problems young kids got these days, people going through a suicide rates. It's not just about going through a cancer treatment and being mentally unstable for afterwards what you're going through. It's how we live our lives these days, and a lot of people do need help because they don't let it go. And you maybe agree, guys, but everybody in life becomes judgmental. Everybody gets judged. People worry about getting judged, a failure. They should not be worried about that. We all fail.
Yeah.
That's why I always say I never judge. You don't judge people. You don't know what kind of life they live. You don't know what's in the back of their head. You just be there for them. You treat them with respect. If they want to share, better. They let it go. Because what they do is they share a problem they can solve. So that's why I've learned through my journey, going through treatments, and I was judged. Don't get me wrong. When I was going through a treatment, you want to see when I've put the weight that people are just, how you can put that weight? What do you mean? What you've been eating? They wouldn't know that. But you don't go argue with them. They don't understand. But you educate them, you tell them, you do that. And it is the way it is, life. And that's why I look at the life in a different perspective, in a different way.
Because I was wary about, I wanted to focus more on you as the Aston Villa player, the footballer today, but just listening to the way you speak there and the way you've come through everything, it is so inspiring, and you've got so much now that you can teach people, a role model in multiple ways now, because you've been through hell. It's just unbelievable journey, and seeing how well you look now as well, you look unbelievable.
It took me a long time to come to where I am at the moment, and I had to do it in different stages because my leukemia is in the blood, it's immune system, so I had to make sure that I don't exhaust my body, I don't get my immune system exhausted, and I don't bring it to a very low level. So I had to make sure that I've done it in different stages in a more relaxed way, which took me a difficult time. Hey, when you've been an athlete and you've played an 80, 86, 87 kilos, all of a sudden you end up 139. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. I couldn't move. I felt out of shape. It was really frustrating, you know. And I had to take my time. Hey, I've managed to do a pre-season with the boys, so this is a great experience. And as much as hurt me, I loved every single bit of it. And you know, it was great. And even with Gabby, we talk about it. You know, going through it. I was sharing a room with Ashley Westwood as well, still calling me a roommate, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant just to experience that again and manage to play 2 friendly games was perfect for me.
So at what point do you set that goal? I want to play football again.
Well, it was. I started doing a little bit of training. A friend of mine said to me, "Listen, a few friends of ours, we get together and, on a Thursday night football. Would you like to start playing football with us?" And bear in mind, I was very heavy. It was at Aston, and I said, "Listen, I'm very overweight, you know, I may try, I'll come and try once." So I went once, started playing a little bit, you know, mostly, I wasn't very mobile, but when the ball come, I'll play and I'll try.
You know a few things.
Yeah, but by the months going by, I've started losing weight, I've started going to the gym, I've started playing, then all of a sudden, I started getting my muscles back, my power, my sharpness a little bit, start getting away from, you know, normal people, like people that have never played football, yeah? Started being more powerful, I was getting away, so I was getting more sharper here, I'll get that buzz back. So I spoke to one of the boys at PT, and I said to him, "Listen, just a quick one, I'm getting sharper now, I'm getting fitter, I'm only 34, do you think I can still play football?" He said, "Why not?" She said, "Well, tell me what exactly I have to do." He said, "Well, first, we have to lose the weight, we have to build your muscle, we have to strengthen your muscle, we have to bring the stamina back in, at least in a certain level, for you to start a pre-season, because pre-season is another 6 hard weeks." So I said, "Well, let's have a go." So we've done a year ago, and then that year, when that year passed, I remember we were about a month shorter, and I was nearly 90 kilos. I was powerful, I was strong, I was playing football with the boys. I went to play over 35 as well. I wanted to see how it's going to be on 11 aside. So I've started getting sharper, better, quicker, stronger. So when I went to 90s, we had like a blip test. So on the blip test, I've looked at I spoke with a couple of fitness coaches that worked before, and I said to them, "Boys, will you get my fitness levels just to see where I am at the moment? I'll do a blip test, I want to look at it." So I actually reached the level that I was in the peak of when I was there. So I said, "That's it, I'll make an announcement, see what's going to happen, see if Aston Villa will decide. I'm only going to go for Aston Villa, I won't go anywhere else. I can't be bothered traveling, this. So when I spoke with Aston Villa, I said, Di Matteo said, it took him about a couple of weeks to think about it. And then he went, "Yeah, Stan, you can join the training." I was like a little boy. Honestly, I was like a little boy when they told me I can join the pre-season. And then the first pre-season day, it was brilliant. I went through all the testing and with them, I was very good. You know, I went through the pre-season. I haven't missed a session. I haven't missed a second. You know, training with Italian way, it was like in the morning and afternoon. It was there. I was there. I remember one of the runs, we were different groups, so we did training in the morning and afternoon, they just train us, just completely running, 6K, completely interval training running. So I was in a group with Rudy Gestede, me, Tommy Elphick, Gabby, somebody else. I remember last of the runs was so hard. The run was so hard, but I think they were doing it twice every week. And I remember the last 2 runs, Gabby had to push me. We were the same group. And with the last stride, he was like, "Come on, Stan." I was like, "Gab, I'm gonna give up, man." And he was like, "No." So he just pushed me from the side. This is the moments that you remember, and it was really difficult. Bear in mind, we went to Austria, it was 40 degrees. I think at the time they didn't really manage. When you go, they didn't know where I was coming from. And as a doctor, it was important to understand if they could manage me better. They didn't have a days off. So when you go through that, you could work me 3 days, rest a day, and go back, make sure that. But I didn't miss any sessions. I worked every single day, twice a day. Every single day. Played the first game, didn't feel very sharp. Second game, when we played Black in Iba, start feeling sharp, set up two of the goals. And when you think things are happening for you, I was called in the office and I was told that nothing is going to be offered. And I went, "Yeah, but I'm not asking you to give me contracts. I'm asking you to give me opportunity to finish as a player." He said, No, we're only going to give you a coaching role at the youth academy. And I said, "No." And you know what? At that time, I could have argued it. I could have gone against it. I was just tired. I was just tired to argue and to get answers. I was devastated, and I had a couple of League One clubs, few championship, come and play here, come and do this, and I went, nah. I wanted to do a Villa. I wanted to fit. It happened here. Celtic were like, "You can come here, we can look at it," and I'm like, nah. I want to do it here. And it was a bigger picture there about people fighting through this disease. There is a way out after that.
Yeah.
And they didn't look at it that way. I understand that Di Matteo was under pressure as well. But when you look at it, I'm a plus for you, I'm not a minus.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
I'm a good for the dressing room. I'm not looking to play 38 games a season. I want to finish as for even 6 months. You said to me, "Stan, you need to go." I finished it. I say, "I'm retiring. I've finished. I'm done." They never looked at it that way, and it was painful. It was painful. But put it that way, went to go playing back for over 35. I was brilliant.
Yeah.
I was fit. I was ready. I was going.
Could you imagine turning up to your over 35? Sorry, you're marking Stiliyan Petrov today.
I want to be best players. I don't think.
We want to travel that year. Yeah.
As you should.
That year, and it was brilliant though. But it was painful. It was difficult because sometimes you think, you going back to play for the love of the game.
Yeah.
You're not going to play for money, for contracts and that. That was the painful bit. As a club, you have to have the identity. You have to stand up and understand what it means for players to play for this club. That was the thing. And but it was people that didn't really understand the club. So that was the painful bit, but end of the day, I still love the club. I'll never find anything bad to say about the club and the fans as well. So I go back, I watch the games, I go and see the boys. I always support it. So it's hurting me inside, but it was decision made from people that actually didn't know and they couldn't fit into that situation, but it happens.
Because we went down because we didn't have people like you in the dressing room. We didn't have a great dressing room, and then you're trying to rebuild and get yourselves back up. You need those characters, and after everything you put yourself through and the level you got yourself back up to, I cannot believe that they did. I even got your name on the back of the shirt that season because I was so inspired.
It was it was a great buzz, and as a club you could have used that, and especially when Di Matteo was going through a hard time, I could have helped him. And I could guide players, and I could help him in a big way. Because when we were training, I was pushing players. You push players, you can see the players' reaction. And it was very strange. And it wasn't explained to me. If you explain to me why what is it? Is I'm unfit? I've missed the sessions in the pre-season. Did I don't show enough character to go through this tough session? That should just show you what kind of characters or what kind of person you're getting. But I didn't get the chance, and it's gone.
As an ex-player as well, Di Matteo, you think he might have that kind of empathy or that different side to it, but it just wasn't to be.
Yeah, he wasn't. It wasn't meant to be, and you know, you see what happened afterwards. You know, the club when Father Di Matteo left, there's manager after manager. It was very difficult, but you know what? I've enjoyed it. Put it that way. I loved it.
Even the fact you just got back on the pitch, and even if it was pre-season, the fact that you played for Villa with the first team again is just unbelievable.
It was great, and you know, it put a smile on my. I lived for this moment, you know, to go back and, you know, play that game. And you know, the funny thing is, if you remember when we went back from Austria, we played 2 games. So I'll have texts from social media everywhere, which game you're playing on, but we didn't know who's playing on which game by the day before, and it was it was madness, and it was brilliant to go back to that environment again and to feel like a footballer again and kicking the ball and preparing it for it. It was brilliant, and you know, we won 6-0. I mean, we played was it Telford we played? Who?
I think
Telford, yeah. And I had we played on a Saturday. And I had they've told me on a Monday, and it was devastating. I went back home, and when I walked in at that door, my wife saw him and said, "What happened?" And I went, she said, "That's it, done. Let's go on holiday."
Did you have in your mind going into that meeting on the Monday, you were just kind of, were you expectant of anything but what happened, kind of thing?
No. No, not at all. No. Not at all, because I've played, well, everyone played 45 minutes in each game, and we won the both game and everything. Only problem with me is not ability, it's about becoming fit again. And when you go through 6 weeks of hard work and pre-season, bear in mind, only 6 of us completed it. Everybody else was going different stages with injuries, but I was one of them. So it's about judging how you're going to get, but put this in mind. I wasn't under contract with anyone. I wasn't looking for a contract. They didn't have to make this decision that day.
No, it's weird.
They didn't have to make that decision. I could have gone for even 4 weeks extra pre-season into the season. So it was really a decision that I could never understand. You know, if you're the manager and you have me, you think about it. Okay, you maybe need extra 2 weeks than everybody else, but it doesn't concern me.
It's not like you're asking for a 5-year contract,
no,
40 grand a week. No. Is it? It's a no-brainer.
So it was very interesting decision, but like I said, that was the disappointing bit. But I still kept, when I told the boys were like, what? No way. What? How did they make that decision? And I was like, I don't know. It was made, so.
One thing I wanted to finish on, we've obviously talked about the incredibly hard battle that you went through, and you mentioned that other people are going through similar battles or even with mental health. If you could give one piece of advice to people going through that kind of stuff now, what would you say to them?
Believe that everything is possible. Don't be scared. Don't be scared to fail, because this is the worst thing. Don't forget that people will always judge you, but you should be the judgment for yourself. And one thing that I always say is, and I said earlier, believe. Believe that you can overachieve everything, because every problem have a solution. You just have to work and find it. So anybody who goes through different stages of different problems, and just believe. Make sure you got the right frame of mind, and you'll be able to achieve things. That's it.
It's good advice.
Yeah. Thanks ever so much for talking to us. It's been an unbelievable trip down memory lane, and you're so inspirational, such a hero to so many people, and we thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much. It was really enjoyable.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Great to see you as well. Thank you.